Kicking, punching, knees and elbows, clinch and ground fighting range are getting you smashed. I'm going to show you a far more effective fighting paradigm. Historically, fighting has been split into 5 distances based on the tools that you can use. First and the longest is kicking, after that is punching, then it's knees and elbows, stand-up grappling, and then ground fighting. This is a pretty antiquated way of looking at things. It's outdated and it's stopping practitioners from flowing from one distance or one range to the next. So imagine that we're in combat right now and that we're at kicking range. Okay. Why this? Because it's too long for my punches to be effective. I can't really clinch, and this is where he can generate his maximum force, be most effective with his kicking weapon, right? We come closer, you punch. So this is like the best distance for this tool because it's too short for my kicks to be effective and I can't elbow, right? He starts throwing elbows and knees, and obviously I can't kick and punch effectively well from here with conventional striking anyway, and clinching is going to be a problem. He can then do an upper body clinch, and then obviously it's hard for me to do kicks, and then there's the ground fighting, and obviously that's going to negate most of the tools that one uses when they're standing up. I find this paradigm outdated is because it prevents the practitioner from being able to flow and improvise, which is incredibly important to be effective and successful in combat because things go wrong all the time. You'd wish that you can just do a pak sao, come in and chain punch them to death, but you'll slip on a banana peel, you'll trip over your shoes, something will happen, right? Or they will throw a shot or a technique or a defense that forces you to do something that you hadn't planned. And if you're forcing yourself, if you're making yourself do a particular technique because that's the distance it's meant to happen in, then things are just going to go terribly bad for you. You know, people are like wading in and they end up in kind of like a clinch position, and nobody thinks of striking from it because it's not meant to be done. So how do we counter that? The best way is instead of looking at this as kicking distance, punching distance, you know, firearm distance or whatever, I'm breaking the fight down biomechanically and into joint ranges, right? So if you change your stance for me, so from here, the longest tool would be ankle and wrist depth, right? So we could even, if you lift up your leg, look, this is pretty long. This is your kicking range and our wrist range, okay? Knee and elbow depth. Right? So when I'm saying knee and elbow and ankle and wrist, I don't mean this is what we're striking with. This is the depths we are all the way to our primary objective, which is the center line or the spine even, right? So we're here. We get to here, hip and shoulder range, yeah? Hip and shoulder, which would, you could say that this is your pummel or whatever you like, yeah? And then there's spine and spine, right? Which is where we're completely, like no distance between us from over here, and this could obviously apply if we're on the ground as well. So this same paradigm applies standing as it does to the ground. How does this work out? Now, a lot of people say that this isn't grappling range, but if Zach kicks me, all right, this kicking range, right? There you go, I just grappled him. I just hooked his foot. I've just started some kind of throw if I wanted to do it. All right. If he punches me, right, there's nothing stopping me from spiking my elbow to his fist. Yeah. If we're in upper clinch or grappling range, there's absolutely nothing stopping me from kneeing, shoulder, trying to dislocate his arm and all these kind of things. And all this applies on the ground. Because of this, I'm able to improvise and I can just flow through the ranges much easier than thinking, okay, I'm at this distance, the only thing I have is a kick. Obviously, the most effective strike at this distance might be to throw a kick, yeah? But if Zach comes in and smothers my attack halfway through, look, it's no longer a kick, right? But because I am not stuck there, like I throw this kick, he smothers it, and I think, okay, that's the end of my attack, I've got to do something else. Because I'm not thinking like that, it's going to allow me to throw. I throw the kick, he smothers it, but it immediately becomes a knee, yeah, and I can step back, or he smothers it, immediately becomes a knee, but then to a throw, right? He could have his guard up, we'll do it this way for the camera, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna lapse out and maybe I'm gonna hook him, bam, yeah, right? But maybe he leans in on this, so I missed the hook. I don't think, okay, I need to keep punching him now. There's nothing stopping me from hitting with the inside of my arm, or even initiating some kind of clinch from here, right? Or if I'm trying to pull him in so I can grab him and he goes back a little bit, there's nothing stopping me from changing that to an elbow, because it's all the same mechanics, whether it be the hook, hitting with the inside of my arm, initiating a clinch, or an elbow. Because I'm not stuck to one idea, I can easily transition and flow one thing to the next. This flexibility to be able to change the idea of fighting from designating particular tools to a range and just going through the ranges due to our joint depths is far more effective, and it will become way more natural the more you train it. There's some specific drills that you can do, but ultimately you'll see that this is the way forward when it comes to developing your Wing Chun, gaining flow and being able to improvise to become a more effective practitioner.